Welcome back to the Expansion Pack podcast, where we download this week's content and bring it to you. I'm your host, Danzel, aka Black Ice 8, joined by my amazing co-host for our 17th episode. Starting off with Manny. So we starting off with Manny over here, aka Goopmaster Flex. Say what's up.
What's up? Stay gooping, you know what I'm saying?
Always stay gooping. All right. And next we have Chris, aka May 25th. What's up, my guy?
What's going on, people? We got some games to talk about this week. Oh, yes.
Okay. Got a lot to talk about this week, for sure. But, before we dive into it, as we always do, let's start off with what are you guys playing? So, Manny, started us off, bro.
Yeah, I mean, same thing as last week. I've been playing some of the classic Grand Theft Autos, reliving some old memories, you know, saying those games are hitters. If you haven't, played like Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas, all those, you guys got to play it. Not only that, but I've also been playing, what is that other game called? Can I forget? Warzone. How can I forget about Warzone? You know what I'm saying? Still ain't getting no dubs yet, but you know what I'm saying? We still trying.
Okay. Word. Chris, what about you?
I'm still buzzing off of that dub with Devin, man. That shit is insane. As far as I go, honestly, man, it's been a bunch of Destiny. I rag on the game a lot because they have a lot of L's sometimes, but Season of the Chosen has been one of their better seasons in like a while, bro. Like a long time. Loot wise, lore wise, I love the story beats. It's flowing nicely every week, it seems so far. The Dead Man's Tale quest was fucking, it was just, man, they got some good stuff going on this season. I'm not gonna hold you. Stasis is still annoying, but Destiny is that's what I've been playing, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm definitely gotta echo a lot of what Chris was talking about in regards to Destiny. Definitely been hitting that pretty hard this week. Early in the week, Chris and another buddy of ours, we dove into Trials. Any of you who are familiar,
I forgot about that, yeah.
with Trials, it's pretty sweaty situation in there, but we got the gun that we were aiming for, thank God. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Obviously, the new exotic quest that Chris was mentioning for the Dead Man's Tale, amazing. Like he said, chef's kiss, absolutely one of Bungie's best missions, hands down. So yeah, having a lot of fun with Destiny 2. Dabbled in a little bit of Warzone as well. Based off what Chris had mentioned. Again, shout out to Devin for that dub, carrying us to that dub. That was one of the clutchest moments, bro. Yeah, man. Make sure to check out his Instagram, damn Jurican, so you can see the play itself. It was pretty damn good. And I also just picked up yesterday Little Nightmares, so I've been playing a little bit of that. Definitely a very unique experience. Hopefully I can talk a little bit more about it next week. Hopefully I'll have it done at that point, but I'm really, really liking the aesthetic of the game. It's reminding me of like an old Tim Burton film, and like Nightmare Before Christmas. Is that the movie I'm thinking of?
Yeah, and like what's the other one with the patchwork girl?
Coraline?
Is it Coraline?
I think it's Coraline.
It might be Coraline, yeah.
I thought it was Caroline.
Tim Burton's been out here all James and the Giant Peach, all that stuff. He's been he's got a lot of interesting movies as far as like the artwork and all that stuff. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. Yeah. Definitely the vibe I get from playing Little Nightmares. So if you guys haven't downloaded it yet or checked it out, definitely beat Little Nightmares 2. I think Little Nightmares 1 has been out for a while now. I'm not sure if it's in Game Pass or not, but either way. Think so?
I don't think it is.
I think I would have grabbed that by now. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's what we've been playing for this week. But yeah, let's before we get into the rest of the topics, Chris, you know what time it is.
I do. Yeah. I'm trying to keep my Birdman hands down off the camera so y'all don't keep seeing them because I keep throwing them up every week and I gotta stop that. But we are gonna have transition soon, and till then, all right, and that is it's time for the icebreaker. So for this week, question is, what is that one game that you went into the situation thinking, this ain't me, it's not my cup of tea, I don't usually play this shit, but you might have got your hands on it somehow by randomness, and you decided, oh damn, this is actually kind of dope. So for example, be it you just be at the homie's house. I know stuff like that doesn't really happen so much anymore, it doesn't seem like, because everything's so digital. But back when we were younger, I don't know about you, Manny, because you in the middle somewhere. But back when Black Ice and I were a lot younger, people used to go over each other's houses and actually play games together and let each other borrow hard disks and all that kind of stuff. Super pause. Because, yeah, I know somebody out there is going to be like, what did he say? You heard what I said.
Pause.
You heard what I said. I didn't say what. Yeah, exactly. All right. Anywho, focus, people. What is the game that just won you over? That's, came out of nowhere and was like a pleasant surprise, and now it's like a, something that you actually really, really are into.
You know, even though Chris said I might not be in the middle of that generation gap, but at least I had a brother who would buy games that I would try out. So for my pick, it's gonna be a game my brother bought back when Saints Row 4 first came out, and that was like, before I played it, I was kind of iffy because it was like, you go from gang banging and to like this, superheroes, you know what I'm saying? You're out here flying, super speed and everything like that. So I ended up playing that, and that, caught me by surprise and how much I enjoyed it. So personally, that would be like my pick, honestly. Saints Row 4, that game caught me by surprise. If you haven't played it, I recommend it, definitely.
All right. I respect it. Saints Row is very popular. I was always more of a GTA guy, but I respect it.
Yeah. I think the Saints Row franchise as a whole is we don't talk about it enough, but that's it's a conversation for another time. But yeah, for me, I would have to say my pick would have to be FIFA. While I was always like a soccer fan, and I enjoyed watching it and playing it like as a kid, I never really bothered touching FIFA for whatever reason. I know people loved it, kind of lauded it as like one of the best sports games out there, but every time I saw it, it just never really appealed to me. Until one day, when I was still working at the Microsoft store, for whatever reason, one of my managers challenged me to like just play him in the game on the big 75-inch TV at the back of the store. I forgot, like there was a bet involved. Like I think it was like if he beat me, or if I beat him, he would buy me lunch or something along those lines. So yeah, and he was like real arrogant about it too. Like he was very confident that he was gonna destroy me. But yeah, we picked up the sticks. For whatever reason, like I don't know, like I demolished him. Like it was not necessary. It was not close. It was definitely not close. And yeah, he was a little tight about it. But then ever since that day, like I was like, all right, like I think that day I went home and I bought FIFA and I started playing a little bit more. And then as time went on, like a couple of other of our friends who were already playing FIFA, we kind of dove into playing pro clubs and whatnot. So yeah, like weird way to get into FIFA, but I did. I randomly just was really good at it the first time I picked it up. Barely knew the controls, but hey, whatever. I secured a dub, and I got a free lunch. So
anything that results in a free lunch,
it's a dub.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
My guy. Damn, all right, those are some good answers from y'all. I think for me, my answer would have to be unbelievably, and I always harp on Destiny, but I have to bring that into the equation because of the doors that it opened up for me, gaming-wise. In terms of like how I got into it, I'll never forget it. Like I was back home in Rhode Island years ago, back when I was younger me, and yeah, I'm sitting there playing, I think like Kingdom Hearts or some shit, because this was back when I was still very clouded on my gaming judgment, and Square Enix had a firm grip.
That's another pause, yo. I'm sorry.
they, they not as bad as the other one. Not
Yo,
as bad as the other one.
yo.
Anyways, Square Enix was out here, and my brother came in my room and he's like, "Bruh, you like sci-fi stuff, man? You should really play Destiny." He's like, "Yo, we both have PlayStations." He's like, "I'll put my profile on your hard drive, and then you just download the game off my account, blah 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 blah, and then you play it, see if you like it." Bruh, I put that John in, tried it out, and this is just strictly from a PvE standpoint. I'm sitting there doing public events. This is when public events to me were like, like they were like, "Oh my god, this is so great! What is this?" Dude, I remember doing public event after not getting bored, just shooting aliens, finding guns, and oh man, I just got lost, man. Like the way how Bungie does their whole details, like people don't give them enough credit sometimes for certain shit. I give them a lot of shit, but if you play the game enough, you know, down to the weapons, dude, no weapon in the game sounds the same. Not one. Maybe here and there you got a couple that kind of like have similar, very, very close. But generally, when they come out with a new suite of weapons, they have their own thing, their own characteristic in terms of like how they shoot, how they feel, and how they sound. And the recoil patterns, all that shit. They put a lot of work into that stuff. So like, I can't say I would have like started playing other FPSs before I started touching this, because this opened the door. Next thing you know, I'm playing PvP. Next thing you know, I'm playing friggin' COD, and I'm in there with you guys in Warzone. Like, I remember that first day we played Warzone. I had never really played a COD game more than 20 minutes before that day when we all jumped into Warzone when it first came out. And I'm like, oh, this is actually fun. I'm getting scraped. It's great. I am getting scraped, but I'm having a good time, man. It's just, I have to give it to Bungie for opening that door for me, because now there's no more wall in terms of, oh, this is an FPS. I don't think I want to play this. Back in the day, I would do that with all kinds of games. It didn't matter what the genre was. Like, even Condemned, that was like a horror game way back. But it was an FPS, and I was like, I don't play this. Now, don't matter, third person, FPS, whatever. The gameplay is lit. I'm here for it. So, yeah. That's my long-winded answer as to
okay. Bet.
That's for me, yeah.
That's crazy though, because I mean, to think like Destiny's easily like, I'm not necessarily say it's your favorite game, but it's definitely the game you play the most.
Yeah, I named that shit.
Yeah.
It's up there. I talk about it a lot.
Yeah, and like, I mean, for it to open that many doors for like competitive multiplayer and things like that, like that's pretty dope. And you know, first person shooters as a whole. So, all right, yeah, Bungie. Shout out to Bungie. We're gonna talk a little bit more about them in our topics here. But you know, before we get into some of the other topics, well, this one's really our first topic, but it kind of harkens back to the conversations we were having last week about how the gaming industry has influenced Hollywood, and you know, Hollywood is definitely plucking some of the IPs from gaming and making movies and TV shows around it. You know, we talked about The Last of Us, we talked about Borderlands, but this past week we actually got a trailer for Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat movie that Warner Brothers is making and putting on HBO Max day and date. Freaking insane trailer, very gory, kind of all the things that us fans were really looking for. The internet just kind of went crazy with it, and everybody seems really excited about it. I'm definitely pretty excited about it. But you know, what do you guys think about it? You know, I know you guys all saw it as well, so I'm just curious to get your take on, you know, what you guys think about the trailer. So, Manny, I'll let you start it off.
So we're gonna start off by saying my man Sub-Zero was looking cold. No puns intended. I'm talking about, I mean, this man was a highlight of the trailer. I mean, freezing up Jax's arms and breaking his arms off, to like out here slicing Scorpion's arm off and just like using the blood as like an icicle and just stabbing him with it. Like, ooh! Very excited, honestly. Like, you know, It's been a while since we had a Mortal Kombat movie, of course, and Mortal Kombat, one of the game franchises I grew up playing, so I definitely got love for it. So I can't wait to wait for it to come out in April and watch it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Chris, what do you think, man?
Man, that shit was lit. It was all right. So people who don't know this about me, I love fight sequences that have really tiny details put into them, like really small, intricate things that literally swayed the course of the battle, but you probably might not have seen it, like if you weren't paying attention the first time. And the way how they're doing the fight choreography in this, they are taking it extremely serious. It seems from the trailer, just from the stuff that Goop mentioned, like the scene where he slices the dude and freezes his blood. That John gave me little, what I want to call it, little energies. That's the best way to put it, right?
Little tingles.
Little energies. Yeah. And I'm just like, ooh, that was crazy. That it was very it hit me like Arya when she was fighting the Night King in Game of Thrones, man. I'm telling you, when she just dropped the knife and the sleight of hand stuff, man, it just second chef's kiss, man. You gotta give two of them for that. That's it, man. I love it. So I'm very excited for it. I the only thing I will say, I'm hoping that they do a better job of explaining the whole multiple dimensions and NetherRealm thing in this as compared to how they did in the past adaptations. Because if I remember correctly, I've seen a good amount of them. I remember a good amount of them. I want to say most of this, the whole idea was to like showcase the fighting and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think they really did a really good job with explaining what the actual story of Mortal Kombat is and why there's a tournament. Explaining why we have folks coming from hell to fight in this tournament and just little details like that. Why do we have the God of Thunder in this story? Like we need to like you can't just have all these crazy, outlandish, fantasy-driven characters and then not explain why they're existing within the same ecosystem. You know what I mean? And that's the only thing I really want them to do is truly flesh that out better. Other than that, man, the game adaptation stuff is really starting to pick up some steam, and it's kind of cool. One thing I also want to post to you guys too to think about while we're on this topic, the whole movie, the superhero movement that we had for like the past decade, when that stuff came from comic books, right? You think about the source material, which was a comic book, and then you compare that source material to what these gaming adaptation movies are going to be working with. I would argue having a whole game and voice acting and dialogue and blah blah to work off of, as opposed to a comic. Like you have to have way more influence there. No, like, or I guess what I'm trying to say is it should be harder for you to fuck up a good story when it's like really right there like that. You know what I'm saying?
I kind
Does that make any
of see what
sense?
you mean, but like, if you're talking about like that they could take the stuff from like the video games aspect, like,
well, you have to tweak some of it, yes, because
Right.
you're changing some things. But I mean, this is so much different than like having a pages that you're reading off of and trying to like guess the tonality and all that kind of stuff. Whereas like
I see where you're going with that. Personally, I feel like books, if I was a creator, I would prefer to derive my content from a book because I think there's more creative freedom I can take. But yeah, I mean, I guess technically doing it from a video game is easier because you can literally just do what they did, right? Like video games are already movies in, well, depends on which games you're talking about, but
right,
they're pretty much already movies as it is. Like for example, The Last of Us, right? That is a movie, right? That's an interactive movie. So yeah, it'd be easier to adapt that to an actual movie because not that much necessarily needs to change other than now you have live action, people doing the thing. Mortal Kombat though, it's kind of a different story because I think the video games didn't make any sense to begin with. There really wasn't a lot of continuity in their story. So it's like,
Yo, they had Joker fighting Sub-Zero. Like, why was
yeah,
that game?
yeah,
That really pissed me off,
yeah.
bro.
It's just like
DC Universe.
all
Like,
types of
what?
weird stuff going on. But actually, even some of
But
the
it would have
DC
made more
stuff,
sense if they explained the realms. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, if
that's
they would
true.
have,
That's true. That's true.
they didn't do
Well, I
that.
mean, after Mortal Kombat 9 on, like they had a like little story going on, you know what I'm saying? Like so like the last 3 games definitely had like some kind of story to it. I
They've
can't
cleaned it
recall
up.
what the story was because you know it's been a long
Exactly.
time since I played
Exactly.
9 and 10. But I mean, it's just I can see what you mean though. It's like, you know, you got a movie, it's just all action. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, you got to have that story piece to make sense. I remember the trailer they're talking about like some kind of prophecy though. I'm guessing with like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, so maybe the movie's probably like more involved around Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and then you have obviously the, you know, Sonya and Jax and, you know, the
Yeah.
forces, of course, fighting Kano.
Yeah,
But
they may not even necessarily derive the story from the game, right? They just may take the characters and then create their own story around it. And I actually,
know, they
I wouldn't be
do,
mad with
yeah.
that. Like, might be
I
better
wouldn't
off.
be mad if this shit leads the next few games. Like, if the story in this movie is good enough, and then they actually build games off of this now instead of what they've currently been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is like a cool, clean slate for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you almost get to rebrand the entire franchise right here. Dead ass. Like,
Yeah.
you really get a chance to do that. And man, if they do it right, this could be big. This is like Ninja Justice League. you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get where you're going. Yeah,
Dope, man.
yeah. I mean, that's another one of those things we're definitely gonna keep an eye out for. Ninja Justice League. That's funny. Okay, yeah, but diving into some more of the gaming related, like, you know, gaming proper related content, I should say. One of our first stories we got for the week, or the prior week, I should say, is directly from Microsoft. So, you know, we know what they've been doing with their backwards compatibility team. Pretty much just been killing it, you know, having essentially 4 generations of content all the way back from the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, and, you know, now the Series S and X, and having all those things just kind of, you know, play on one platform without really any work from the developers. It looks like the backwards compatibility team is back at it again with a new feature that they've released. Basically, they call it the FPS Boost features. Basically, meaning that you could double the frames per second on any older games. Well, not any, a select number of older games that the Microsoft backwards compatibility team is working on right now. And yeah, so if a game had released initially with 30 frames per second, now it can play at 60 frames. If it released at 60 frames, apparently they can push it all the way up to 120 frames, which is pretty wild. And again, you know, without needing to have the developers go back in and recode anything, like they can all just kind of do it on their end. So that feature got announced this week, and it looks like the first few games that they've announced for it, kind of a weird set of games. But we got Far Cry 4, New Super Lucky's Tale, Sniper Elite 4, UFC 4, and Watch Dogs 2. So, again, weird ass fucking set of games. But personally, I'm kind of hyped to go see UFC 4 get bumped up to 60 frames, because I feel like, you know, any fighting game, really, especially one that moves towards the side of photorealism, playing it at 60 frames, I think is really cool. So yeah, I think it's an interesting feature. But, you know, as always, I'm curious to get your guys' take on it. So, Chris, I'll let you start this one off. What do you think about this feature?
I think I think it's cool. I think it's actually way more revolutionary than I think a lot of people are like looking at it as. I mean, for you to have a system in play that can literally just bump up your frames per second, like double them essentially, and the person who made the game had nothing to do with that. This is like software that you have running that just kind of like does it. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I think about stuff like this, and I added in the same boat as the metahuman thing that we were talking about a little bit ago, and like all these little tiny advancements with ray tracing and like, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So I think this is just one of those things that, it's just a nice plus. Uh, I kind of want to see this on games that were maybe a little bit ahead of their time. Like for me, Alan Wake is one of those games. I always say super ahead of its time. Probably came out a decade too early because people were not really too susceptible to those storytelling type of games back then, which is crazy. But they were. I don't know if the Telltale games would have worked back then. I don't know if any of those games would have worked back then. But they do now. So it's like, damn, man, I would, yeah. And I think stuff like that would be cool. I'd really love to see stuff like Dead Space take advantage of stuff like this.
Bring back Dead Space, please. Bring back Dead Space.
I've been hearing so much about it, like from like the communities, like recently too. Like they're talking about it out of nowhere.
Well, remember in the war show, they came out with the trailer for with the same creators of Dead Space. Yeah. So,
but I want actual Dead Space. I want that story.
I know what you mean.
I still gotta finish. I got all 3 of them downloaded. I gotta like get to the trilogy, but like games like those, dude, or like even old Fallout games. If you get Fallout 3 with a boosted FPS, that would be me playing it again for like, I don't know, my 8th playthrough, or even Skyrim. That'd be like my 19th playthrough. I'll do it again though, because if it looks that good compared to how it used to look, because that's one of the things that kind of hurts you playing it now. You play Skyrim right now, it's still a great game, but it's like, damn.
Yeah.
It's a little, you know what I mean? So that'd be cool.
Word. Okay. Yeah. Manny, what do you think about this whole feature, bro?
I'm just excited because like you said, with the fact that they could just do this on their own without having the actual like producers of the game having to work with the game. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure they're like, why would I want to go back and, make this game enhanced so you can have like 60 frames per second or so on. So this is really great, especially with the new console generation, especially at the moment. I know we're, kind of like on a drought with new games to play. Like I know the Medium just came out and all that stuff, but like all the new games ain't really going to come out till like fall pretty much. Yeah. So like enhancing these old games that you can just go back and play what's like that feels refreshed, like for example, like for me, a game that that should be enhanced to 60 frames per second is Grand Theft Auto 5, especially if Grand Theft Auto ain't gonna drop a new game for like another 10 years. Like the game's at a steady 30 frames on the Xbox Series X right now. Like if they could just bump it up to 60 frames, that would be wonderful. Like if I could play on my PC, I could, but it's not crossplay at the moment. And probably never will be, since GTA 6 probably is around the corner that we don't know about.
I think Rockstar did say that they are planning on like enhancing the game for the next gen 5.
Yeah, I know
and
they didn't
online.
Announce.
Yeah.
No, I know they didn't announce that, but we still don't know when that's gonna come out.
Oh yeah, we have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like this is, like I said, real great. Kind of reminds me of like how Xbox is just trying to involve everybody, as well as like you get a new system, you get new parts. Is a good way to put the parts to use, pretty much.
I feel that. Yeah, I mean, you guys both mentioned games that you'd like to see take advantage of the feature in the future. So I'd say for me, I think I'd have 2 games in particular from the 360 era that I would love to see like get a nice frames per second boost. First one would be Bioshock, either Bioshock 1 or Bioshock Infinite. Like absolutely my favorite games of that generation. Like definitely recommend everybody, if you can, get your hands on the Bioshock collection, because it has 1, 2, and 3. In my opinion, you can skip 2. I know I've said this before, but yeah, absolutely. If you could bump up the resolution on those games, especially Bioshock Infinite, the way that game is designed, like the fast-paced movement, when you have like your character has like a hook that you can jump on these rails and just kind of fly through the world. So any kind of frames increase that you can get on that, where like everything's happening, like the motion becomes more fluid and all that stuff, like I think that game would benefit greatly from that. And the next game I would say, technically I gave y'all 2 because of each Bioshock, but the next one I'd say outside of that is probably the original Tomb Raider that released at the tail end of the Xbox 360 generation. Freaking fantastic game. definitely like highly regarded. I think it got like a revamp or remaster on the One
The
X
one.
or the one, yeah, the one and the PS4. But I still don't think it got a 60 frames boost, and I think that game would definitely benefit from that. So yeah, those would be my picks for sure. I mean, it's definitely a really cool feature. I think the more I think about it, like Microsoft definitely seems to focus at least more than its competition on like bringing along backwards compatibility, and like they don't just stop at, all right, let's make something backwards compatible, like let's make it even better without having to go bother you know Crystal Dynamic, who makes Tomb Raider, to do something, or I forget who makes Bioshock, which is sad because again I fucking love that game. But like basically not bothering any of the developers to go back and touch any of the code. Microsoft seems very focused on, all right, we're gonna bring backwards compatibility, but we're also gonna make things better. I think personally, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it, but I think that's largely because of Game Pass. I think the idea of leveraging some of these older games and throwing them into Game Pass and building that library up and saying, all right, not only can you play these games, but you can play them better than ever on, whether it's xCloud through Game Pass or on the Series X or whatever. Like, you're just adding so much value. And in some of these scenarios, I think for me, UFC 4 is a game that I already own. But yeah, in some of these scenarios, you're basically pulling these backwards compatibility games that you already owned, and without any extra cost out of your pocket, like you're just getting more value. And I just think that's really cool. So I definitely applaud Microsoft for that. But yeah, do you guys think that that's an X Cloud or Game Pass play? Chris, start off with your opinion on that.
I could definitely agree with it being either or. I actually think it would be really good if it was a Game Pass play, because you got already stuff like Alan Wake in Game Pass. My only thing with this is, regardless of whether it's Game Pass or xCloud, if that's what they're gonna do, then I would like to see a little bit of advertising put into it. I think it'd go a lot better if it's not just a thing where it's like, okay, we're talking about the fact that we can boost FPS. Do a little mini commercial for like 20 seconds or something, throw it on YouTube or some shit, and show this older game with the newer, like do a side by side or do something to kind of like let people know, yo, go touch this game. So I guess in a sense, it's almost like reinvigorated advertising for an old ass video game.
Yeah.
But in some cases, it needs to be done because some people don't know this stuff exists on there and they just breeze past stuff, you know? So if they go that route, I think this is for sure could benefit on either platform.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think well, Manny, I'll let you say your thing, but I want to circle back to something that you said, because I do think it's pretty important. But Manny, what do you think about the feature?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with Game Pass, how they're pushing out a lot nowadays, definitely a big plus for Game Pass users, especially if like a lot of these games that they do enhance with the frame per second boost is these Game Pass games you could just download for free without having to buy them, or pretty much just buy them. So like I said, definitely a big Game Pass push for the future, of course, if they do decide to upgrade these older games, which is good. Like for someone to experience these games with enhanced frames per second, definitely is a great future that we have.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about waiting for developer X to go back and remaster the whole game. Or I mean, it might lead to less remasters or remakes, or hopefully not less remakes, but maybe less remasters. But yeah, so Chris, to the thing you mentioned in regards to their advertising, because again, as I mentioned before, like the Xbox backwards compatibility team, like they're very big on these types of features, right? And even so just to kind of rattle off a list of some of the things that they brought along that doesn't really get talked about a lot, right? The quick resume feature that launched with the Series X. Basically, you have like, I think it caches 5 different games just sitting in the background, so you can switch between them and pick up right where you left off. Like, that's a feature that doesn't really get talked about a lot. Like, Microsoft doesn't, well, I would say maybe in the very beginning they advertised it pretty well, like through influencers, when they were kind of trickling out information about the Series X. But I still don't think it's like a big talking point that gets enough attention. And then they also have the auto HDR feature, which is, again, in the same regard as this frames per second boost, it's like these games were designed without HDR built into them, and now you found a way to make them just look better through the magic of software. Again, developers don't have to touch it in any way at all. It just works. Like, yeah, I mean, they're doing a great job of creating features like this, and just, you know, it adds value, but again, to your point, like, they're not necessarily advertising it as much, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because most people won't know that it's there. I mean, I guess in some regards, I don't know. It's just interesting because then it delights your customer because it's not something that they were expecting and it's just happening. But at the same time, like, there are a lot of people on the other side, let's say Sony fans or Nintendo fans or whatever, and they might think that feature's cool and they might buy an Xbox or take a second look at it because you're adding so much value for the customer. So yeah, I think they may have a little bit of work to do to get the message out. Like,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. I mean, they already advertised for Game Pass pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think it would be hard for them to just take a smidge out of whatever they already do and to say, all right, let's make sure they know that these games is boosted now. Come on now.
Yeah.
And I think they already did say that they were going to be coming up with a visual indicator over games, I guess, that would have the boost, if I was remembering correctly.
Yep.
So that's, I guess, one piece of it. But yeah, just put it in people's face.
Yeah. Well, they put it in your face when you're using the feature, right? So like if you are using an Xbox Series S or X, and let's say quick resume is a thing, as soon as you launch the game up, it tells you, okay, quick resume, boom, you're back in. If it has auto HDR, it'll tell you right as you load up the game, boom, auto HDR. So yeah, I think there's still going to be like a message to tell you that the frames per second boost is there. So that's good for like if you already have the system. But yeah, the advertising to get people on board to the Xbox brand, that's something that they may have to do a little bit more work on it. And yeah, I mean, again, the feature doesn't seem to be limited to Game Pass, but something you could sprinkle into those Game Pass commercials, like, hey, if you get Game Pass, these games play best on Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and this is why. I'm sure that that's something that they're working on because it seems like they're still building out some of these features, right? Like, so once they get it to a place where I think they're comfortable with it all, I think they might just kind of overload that. I wouldn't be surprised if next holiday that's like the marketing pitch, like Halo Infinite, Game Pass. Here's all these extra features, Starfield, boom. Like this is our this is our thing. Like, come play with us. So yeah,
definitely agree.
It's be interesting. All right, but yeah. Moving on to speaking about the other side of the aisle, with the Sony fans and whatnot.
The dark side.
There's some interesting news we got this week around the DualShock 5. So Manny, I'm gonna let you talk to us about it a little bit.
Yeah. February has, a month of love hasn't been very loving to Sony, unfortunately. An action class lawsuit has been basically declared on Sony Sony's part because of the whole drag on the PlayStation controllers. We've been hearing more and more about it for the past couple weeks. A lot of defective controllers, pretty much shipped out. I mean, we even have like the story of Lamar Turner, who got a controller. Not got a controller, but got a PlayStation 5 this month, and like in the same day, a couple hours later, the controller's already seeing drags. So, a lot of complaints about it, as well as how the customer service is. People comparing it to like a maze of like pre-recorded phone calls, trying to just even get some help. And it's been a interesting month for Sony, you could say.
Yeah. The dreaded controller drift is reared its ugly head again. A couple years ago, it was Nintendo.
It's still Nintendo. They just got some other company in the boat. That's all it is.
Well, yeah. As far as the class action lawsuits go, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, technically, it wasn't really as big of a story, but the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller was having some issues. I don't think the drift was necessarily the issue. I think one of their buttons were having some defects. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's always some kind of controller issue right now.
Yeah, I believe Elite Controller 1 had like some drift issues, but other than that, I think Elite Controller 2 kind of fixed that. But except for like the buttons, like I'm now finding out defects on my right bumper in my Elite Controller 2, but the warranty ended already, so I can't deal with that.
Wait, your Series 2?
Yeah, my Series 2, yeah. I just had this problem like a month ago, and then I realized my warranty ended in December, so it wouldn't even matter.
Did you get it when it came out though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that explains it then. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I mean, even still, and a lot of people will disagree with this, but you know, even with the Elite controller, like you said, you got it when it first came out, so that means you had it over a year. Like over a year, and then it's having some issues. Like that sucks, but like,
yeah, wear and tear.
You know, like whatever, wear and tear can happen. But in this scenario, and I think that's where the problem really strikes for people. I think that's why we heard more conversations around the Joy-Cons and this PlayStation controller. Like, the DualShock 5, or the PlayStation 5 in general, has only been out for less than, 4 months? So for there to already be these issues, and like you said, you know, from that testimonial of the customer who had it for a day and it broke, like that's just unacceptable. You know, that's no good. And I remember when the Joy-Con issues were happening, it was pretty much a similar time frame, right? Like people were complaining about it when they had just gotten their Nintendo Switches. So basically these companies got to step up with this stuff, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, even reading on an article with Gizmodo was saying how like basically the joysticks are like pretty much so faulty that like no matter what, how much you play or whatever, it's down the line you're gonna face drag. Like you could play, you know, maybe like an hour a day, like a couple months later, you're gonna experience that drag. So, it just shows, you know, that maybe it was just like maybe a rush production to get the PlayStation 5 out, because we already know how, you know, different the controller is compared to like the PS4 controller. So even though they do use like the same joystick, it's like it's crazy.
Yeah, some of those extra features cause some problems. But yeah, Chris, what do you think about the situation, man?
I just think it's funny. And kind of ironic because the controller is the selling point for a lot of people with the PS5. It's supposed to be next gen, just as next gen as the actual piece of hardware. And on paper, it looks like it is, but then you got this happening, so it's just like, damn, this is quite bad. Because one, the lawsuit is one thing, but I mean, like, this is a basic thing with your system, your functionality. And then for the people out there who did get screwed by scalpers, or for the people out there who did have to pull their hair out running from store to store to buy one, and then you get it, and then it just doesn't work in like a month, or like the people who bought it for their kids. Can you imagine with us? Like, we're like adults, and like we take pretty decent care of our stuff, I'd say, and then we're still getting this issue. Yeah. You give this shit to kids, bruh. Like a day, 2 days.
Kids are
some really upset parents too. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! Like this is not a good look in the pandemic. Come on, there's just so many layers to this that makes it worse and worse. So hopefully they get their shit together with that. That's so unfortunate. They're such a good controller, such a good controller. They need to fix that.
Yeah.
And they definitely need to do something, because I have a sneaky suspicion that Microsoft has been low-key working on something, because I have a feeling they waited for the PS5 to drop. They got their hands on the controller and said, all right, take it apart. Let's see what's in this. All right. Okay. Yeah. And then we're going to get some Elite shit soon that's going to have all that same haptic and all this crap, and it's going to be like way better, and they need to get their shit together.
I was just going to say that. I think the Series 3, the Elite Series 3, I think is going to have some of those features, because I think, I want to say, what was it, like maybe back in December, maybe, you know, last month even, Microsoft like pushed out some surveys asking, you know, like if Xbox players were interested in some of the functionality of the DualShock 5. 3. But yeah, so the Series 3, that's why. But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, there's some sneaky little features up in the Elite Controller Series 3 that mirrored a lot of that stuff. Yep. I mean, I think even Phil Spencer had an interview that mentioned that some of the functionality really just boils down to APIs, right? Like just pieces of code that you could dump into games that already exist and say, all right, now you're going to have this like this haptic feedback, pop in for when you shoot a gun or you pull a bow and arrow or something like that. So yeah, I suspect it's coming. So yeah,
Yeah.
Sony's definitely got to get their stuff figured out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure, for
Not
sure.
good.
For sure.
But yeah, as always, that's something to keep an eye on. For sure. But yeah, we'll jump into a new topic here for at least everybody's favorite developer,
Everybody?
favorite studio. You know what, Manny? You could talk as much junk as you want to talk, but you're a big Halo fan too. So I don't want to hear it.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it,
Exactly.
everybody.
Yeah. Everybody loves Bungie. Bungie has some pretty exciting news this week. So I'm gonna let Chris take this one away because we know he's our resident Destiny guy, even though I love Destiny too. So take it away.
People. They announced this week, first things first, that they are going to be more than doubling their capacity at their headquarters. So I think right now, currently, I think they got like a 60K person. Well, 60 something. I don't remember what it is. And it's doubling to like 200 plus something. And I was like, oh, well, then that means they're going to be getting a way bigger place. So that's cool. And then I guess they're opening their first international location as well, over in Amsterdam, I believe it was.
Yes, sir.
So it just feels like they're just making all these little big plays. And then it also gets announced that they've been in the works with a couple different folks. They've got 2 new people coming into their board of directors, one of which I think is like a really reputable person from network television. Let me see if I can find the name. Hold up right quick.
Talking about CBS?
Yeah, Trace Harris. Let me see. And then Pamela Kaufman from Viacom. And her name is attached to Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, like big time cable channels. This, a lot of the stuff about The Whole Matter, which is their new IP that they've been working on for a while. Even the news within this that like Luke Smith is going to be moving from lead director for Destiny over to more of a role where he's able to help, I guess, facilitate more of these adaptations and more of these partnerships with different companies or whatever the case is. Like Bungie as a whole, building off of, I guess, what they've got started with Destiny, is starting to a little bit, or they're trying to. And now the big talk is that, maybe we might get a movie or another TV adaptation or other forms of media that have to do with Destiny, which is it's pretty serious.
That's huge, yeah.
If you play the game, people, the lore in this game is deep. It's very, very, very deep. It's another one of those franchises where if they wanted to make good TV out of it or something like that, like Mass Effect or a lot of these other stories, Borderlands, they got all the pieces right here to really do it. So it's big, man. It's cool to see that a franchise who just a little bit ago was underneath Activision's foot said, nah, we're buying our stuff. And I think they bought, what was it? It was a lot of money, like 100 million or something like that.
Yeah, 100 mil to get out from underneath Activision.
Pay that off, go through all these struggles that they've been going through with Destiny, and now they're starting to get their footing back a little bit, it seems, in terms of the seasonal models with the game. And to hear that, no, it's not dying at all. If anything, it is growing at an exponential rate. In a couple of years, you probably won't see enough things about Destiny and Matter and whatever else they're trying to do. So this is big, man, to think. Like, I just can't... To think that Destiny could possibly get to the point, storytelling-wise, of, like, even maybe, like, a Star Wars or something like that is... It's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And Chris, I don't know if you know this part of Bungie's history in regards to Halo, but they did it before, right? Like they built the empire that is Halo, and I was always surprised to have not seen Destiny take this route. Like I remember they talked about there was like a massive book of Halo, right?
Mhm.
Like all the stories that ever was and ever will be in regards to Halo. It was like their guiding light, and it it influenced the games. It influenced all the books that they created, and they created many books, many comics, all that jazz. And I was always shocked to have never seen there be like a Destiny book, like books or any of that type of stuff. I never really recall seeing any of that media come to light. You know, everything was really just all the lore was contained within the game. And you know that's fine, but I felt like it was always kind of a missed opportunity. And I guess you know being under Activision's thumb, like it never was necessarily something that Activision was interested in doing. I can't think of any of their other properties that really went into that mode. But when they were with Microsoft, Microsoft did a really good job of making sure that, okay, Halo isn't just going to be a video game. Halo is going to be an entertainment experience, and it will transcend this medium into other mediums, right? Like Forward Unto Dawn was a movie that was a movie or like a mini series that they created.
I forgot. I remember they did make a mini series before Halo 5 came out.
Yeah, I think they had two different
Master
mini
Chief, I think.
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forward Unto Dawn was one thing, and then they had this like set of like little mini TV shows that had different styles, some of which were anime, some of which were like live action. Like there was just so much that Microsoft and Bungie really accomplished in regards to the Halo universe. And I think Destiny's just as rich and diverse as Halo ever was. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like everything that we're seeing with this, it definitely seems to be leading in that direction, right? Like you don't pluck someone from Viacom, you know, without the expectation of trying to push out a TV show or a movie or something along those lines, right? Like and obviously as we talked about last week, Hollywood's calling, right? They're knocking. So you might as well get somebody on the board who has experience dealing with all these different networks. I would not be surprised if by the end of this year we get a Destiny or Matter like Netflix show. You know, like at least announced. You know, something in the works. I feel like the creators at Bungie are just too good at what they do. They make amazing stories, and amazing video games. And yeah, it just seems like this is a no-brainer. I'm happy to see them, you know, have essentially pulled themselves up from their bootstraps, as much as I hate that term. To like, you know, get themselves out from under Activision's thumb. Yeah, to be able to spend $100 million to get yourself to spend that much money to be able to go independent, and now to, you know, be thriving and like being able to expand and look into all these new horizons, like it's really impressive. And I definitely you know tip my hat to Bungie. I'm excited to you know be a part of their communities as far as being a Destiny fan. I'm definitely looking forward to Matter because it sounds like Matter might be more of a PvP, you know, return to their roots. Whereas Destiny's kind of strayed a little bit further more towards PvE lately, even though, you know, I still enjoy playing the PvP stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they've got coming next, man. It's gonna be really good.
And then hopefully the TV show can get me back into Destiny.
Man, you would already be back in the Destiny if you would just turn the game off.
I like playing the PvP, but it's just too much with the grinding with the PvE stuff. But you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind a little Destiny TV show so I can, you know, at least catch up to some of the lore.
Yeah.
Shit, you need to start watching Bife. Shit.
Oh, they might have to bring Bife on.
They might
have to bring Bife on.
Bife, when I tell you, everybody who watches this, listen, if you are into Destiny and you want to know about their lore, go on YouTube and type in BYF. We're giving him free promo because he is great. Listen, Bife, he will break down any lore excerpt in Destiny from D1, D2. He will string together like loose ends. This dude, and his voice is just so
soothing. It's really soothing.
Goodness, it's dude, this man Bife. Shout out Bife, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they might have to bring Bife on, man. Because the way he kind of strings together all the story of and all the lore of Destiny, very, very impressive. But yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is really what we can expect to see going forward, though, from Destiny, right? Or from not Destiny necessarily, but from Bungie, right? Like trying to dabble in the entertainment game. It kind of feels like they're becoming like a new Bethesda, a new like Blizzard, you know, like like,
I think that's their goal. I
yeah,
think that's what they want.
yeah, and I
I
mean,
think that's what they want.
it's interesting to say that though, because at the same time, like Bethesda and Blizzard both got acquired, and yeah, there's been a lot of conversation around Microsoft trying to reacquire them, the rumors, so on and so forth. I honestly, I think that Microsoft is a silent investor in Bungie right now. I think the way like Phil Spencer, and we always end up talking about Phil, man. Phil's my boy. But Phil Spencer's a huge Bungie fan, a huge Destiny fan, and it seems like they've been having a lot of conversations around like what's coming next for them. Yeah, there's like a rumor that Matter, the rumored new game from Bungie, may be an exclusive, for at least a timed exclusive for Xbox, and it seems like there's something there. Like there's some relationship brewing because they've been talking a lot more lately. Like we've been seeing them, Phil Spencer and the head of Bungie, I forget his name right now, but they've been in a couple like panels together and whatnot. It seems like there's something cooking, so I'm excited to see what's next there for sure.
Yeah. One thing I also wanted to add to this too is I think this kind of puts to rest the whole conversation of all right, let me give context. Let me start there. So when they gave us their timeline for Destiny, I think a year ago before Beyond Light came out, a lot of people were like, "Okay, this is cool. They're showing us what they're doing for the next 3 years." But like, damn, is Lightfall like the end of Destiny? Because everybody was saying that. I full-heartedly believe now, with all of this stuff happening, nah, it's gonna continue far beyond Lightfall. Now they can't. Nah, they would have to truly create a dead game somehow for it to not go any further. But yeah, now that they're doing all of this stuff, and if this TV show hits and everything else, this game is gonna go on for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
A while.
Absolutely. And I mean, you don't make someone with the talent of Luke Smith, like, so you take him from game director to now being in charge of everything Destiny. It's like you clearly have a plan to make more out of this franchise than for it to just be a video game, and for it to just be a video game that ends in like 2 years or whatever. Like you clearly have plans for this. So
yeah, and I mean this also could kind of like maybe solve some of their issues with like how often do we get on here and complain about how they might not have enough manpower to do X, Y, or Z because it's a independent company. You building all these bridges with different folks. You're getting revenue, you're getting money, you're getting all this. So like you should be able to hire more folks. You should be able to double your capacity for staff. You should be able to, maybe eventually along the lines, stop making so many of those excuses about how we don't have resources for X, Y, or Z in the game, and then give us what we want.
Absolutely.
So this is good all around.
Yeah, that's got to be why they're building that studio in Amsterdam, right? That satellite studio has to have a very specific purpose. I mean, we'll see what that purpose is, but as far as manpower and all that stuff, it clearly seems like this is something that they're trying to address now. They're expanding the studio that they have in Bellevue, Washington, I believe it is. Yeah, Bellevue, again, right next to Microsoft. Leading more into that whole acquisition rumor. Anyways, and then you're building something in Amsterdam. There's got to be something to come, and I'm more excited than I've ever been to be. Again, part of that Destiny community. I'm really, really, really looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do next. But yeah, with that being said, we jump into our next topic here from a company that seems to be really spreading its wings and doing all types of really great stuff, to a company that has just been disappointing some of us fans recently. Nintendo.
Woo! Called it. Fighter.
Yeah, so this week we got a new Nintendo Direct, where they announced a couple interesting things. We got an announcement that Fall Guys is coming in the summer. We got an announcement that Mario Golf is coming. We got an announcement that Splatoon 3 is coming. Probably the biggest announcement there, which tells you a lot about the state of that situation. But they did have a very diverse set of games that they did announce, largely third-party games that are on other platforms, but they did have a lot to show. I will give them that much. They had a lot to show, but it was still something else, guys. You know what? I'm just gonna let you guys talk about it a little bit. Manny, I'll let you start off. You already kind of alluded to what you got to say, so I'll let you go and say it.
I'm still waiting on my letter. How come Pyra got a letter before I did? The Goop Master Flex to get into the Smash universe.
Oh God.
Yo, one day for us and for everybody out there, you gotta explain what a Goop Master Flex is and what stay gooping truly means. I be needing to know.
Nah, yeah, we gotta keep that a mystery for a little bit longer.
Bonus episode.
Yeah.
But I mean, not only that, but it's just this, I guess, from what I heard, is supposed to showcase what to expect this year. And then they announced Splatoon 2, where it's like, coming out next year. And I'm like,
oh, boy.
All right, so what's coming out this year? Oh, we got Mario Golf. So creative. Oh, my goodness. A golf game with Mario characters. Ooh, I'm sure that's going to sell great.
Oh, wait. No, wait. We got the Skyward Sword remake, too. Remastered.
I was just going to say. Skyward Sword, guys. Everybody, everybody who loves Skyward Sword is coming back. But not only that, for full price of $59.99.
Plus tax.
Plus tax. I mean, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
damn.
We're waiting on a new Breath of the Wild, news. We got stuff like Fall Guys, and then of course the Mario Golf and Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 is probably the biggest one that that I'm just like, yay, something new. But why are you gonna go out here and announce the Skyward Sword HD remastered, but not say anything about the new one? Like, it's just like a punch in the face. Like, here you go. Here's this Skyward Sword.
They said something. It wasn't what we wanted to hear, but they said something.
It wasn't what we wanted. I'm saying we ain't getting no trailer, we ain't getting no release date, nothing.
Yeah,
so
this shit was no.
Like,
to be fair, if I am going to be fair at all, they did say that they apologized for not having news about Zelda or Breath of the Wild 2, I should say, and they did say that we should be getting some more news later this year, whatever the hell that means.
No.
Whatever the hell that means.
Unacceptable.
They're like, all right, we're not gonna give you news now, but you can buy these games. Skyward Sword for $59.99, Mario Golf for $59.99, and I guarantee you, a couple years down the line, those games will still be $59.99. But you know what I'm saying? I just feel like they're just milking out these older games, and like, something like Mario, where it's just like, why does Mario need a golf game? Like, maybe if you made your own like creative golf game that didn't have to, revolve around Mario, maybe I'll be more interested. But you had to bring Mario into this because you know what? That's the only way they're gonna get their money. Yeah. But other than that, I'm just like, nothing really like maybe want to just pick up my Nintendo Switch and want to play again. Like, I'm not gonna play Pyra. You know what I'm saying? Another sword fighter out of the 50 sword fighters in the game already. But that's my thought on Nintendo was rocking.
Yeah, Chris, let you dive in next, man.
That shit was big hot doo-doo trash, my guy. That's the biggest thing I gotta say about that. I ain't gonna hold no punches with these motherfuckers. Y'all gonna get the whole wrath, all of it. Listen, this shit here was unacceptable from so many levels to me. One, from a Nintendo standpoint, at the very least, very, 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 even if you're not going to announce any kind of game that gets me excited, why didn't we get any kind of announcement for the HD Pro version of the new Switch or whatever that they're working on? Or something? You could have showed us that. You could have showed us even a prototype of that. You didn't even have to show us a final version of it. Tell us something that actually grips people. Why do y'all keep on doing this same ass direct shit? I swear to God, the last 4 of them all look the same exact way. Not one thing was different. Nothing stands out. Bro, this shit trash, man. I'm not excited for nothing that they did. And then with Zelda, talk to them for a second. I give Pokemon a lot of flack nowadays because they haven't really evolved like how they needed to. But one thing that Pokemon's really good at is giving you a tiny piece and tease the shit out of you and make you wait 6 months for you to get that next piece. And you're sitting there all right, Let's go. They could have at least did that with this thing. This dude got out there with an all-black background and said, "Oh, I know you guys want Breath of the Wild 2 information, but wait, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? At the very least, you could have showed us some 3D character models that were still being polygoned out, and something. You could have put together some kind of tiny little 2-second teaser. You could, like, I just feel like that was such a cop-out. Instead, to give people what they wanted, at least give them a window into what they wanted. Instead, you say, I'm sorry, we ain't got that, but go buy this old ass shit that does not have FPS Boost. The fuck out of here, fam. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
$59.99. Wait, but that's not
some
all.
Whack shit, bro. Like, nah, bro.
Man.
I was gonna say that's not all, Chris. You know what else they got? Skyward Sword Joy-Cons.
Oh, the Joy-Cons. Can't forget about the Joy-Cons, man.
My Joy-Cons, I'm on my second or third pair of those, and I refuse to buy anymore. So I'm just stuck with them now.
That's what I'm saying.
Bring it back an old feature called Drift. Woohoo!
I just, I'm so disgusted. It's just like, dog. They never make me excited anymore, bro. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. They never. We have to accept that Nintendo, unfortunately, is not for adults anymore. It is just for kids. Kids and people who want to like do some kind of small active shit with a group of folks sometimes, and I guess older folks in some some scenarios for nostalgia reasons.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not for active gamers. It's not for people who want a new experience. It's definitely not for people who are looking for something called next gen. It is far from that. If you buy that shit, you are getting a glorified cell phone game player. I'm sorry. Like I just gotta call it like that. Shots fired. Don't at me, fam. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel lately, man. Like it's you can't really. It's like more and more we dive into it. It's just like Nintendo's just not for us anymore, and it's not even like it's not for hardcore gamers anymore, unless you're really just looking for the nostalgia aspect of it. And I'm gonna be very honest with you. At this point, the only thing I am excited about is Breath of the Wild 2. And the fact that we're getting strung along with it. And I think that Nintendo knows that, right? They know that the hardcore, that's really what they want to play. So like I feel like that's why they're not really like as focused on us. It's like, all right, they know they could drop like a game ever so often that'll get the masses like really excited about it, and then they'll just continue to peddle out the stuff that they've been peddling out these past couple years, right? Like this Skyward Sword remake is just so ridiculous to me. Like everything that they announced, and again, like I said, to be fair, like I understand why they're announcing a lot of this stuff, right? But like the Hades coming to Switch, Apex Legends coming to Switch, Plants vs. Zombies, Knockout City, like all these games that already exist on other or are going to exist on other platforms. Like I understand that we're at a place where the Switch needs to have some level of viability with multi-platform games. Because it's a weaker piece of hardware than some of the other things that we're talking about, you know, like the Series X, or it's even weaker than the One X, right? Or One, period, the Xbox One, period. So, like, I understand that they peddle some of this stuff out from a viability standpoint, and there are a large swath of people who only have a Switch, and that's the only gaming system they play on. And those people are kids, and I get it. But, like, where's that, like, big hitter, man? Like, it's just so disheartening. Like, nothing here, like Manny said, made me want to pick back up my Switch. And there's a lot of people who feel that way. And man, it's just getting harder and harder to be excited about things Nintendo's, doing.
We just feel like need to hold them accountable, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I just feel like they're just milking out the stuff that didn't work on the previous consoles. That they're just gonna bring it to this one because, like, hey, they didn't sell on the Wii U, but the Switch is popular, and I'm sure people are gonna buy it.
Absolutely. I mean, the majority of their original games that had came out on the Switch were basically failed Wii U projects, right? Mario Kart was basically the Wii U Mario Kart that they just packaged up and put on Switch. Man,
still selling at full price, which is ridiculous.
That shit is insane.
It's been like 5 years since it released, and it's still selling for full price.
Well, To be completely real, man, it's not gonna change until
It isn't.
people stop buying the stuff, though.
Right.
Because, like, to me, the part that really frustrates me a lot is the fact that if Sony or Microsoft pulled any of the bullshit that Nintendo pulls half the time, they would get dragged. They would. I mean, dude, they would get
Slaughtered.
dragged. But Nintendo, because of Mario and Pokemon and all these beautiful nostalgia titles that they had that people just can't seem to like move past for whatever reason, they keep getting these same passes every year. They're the weakest at E3 every year. They are the weakest at the Game Awards every year. They are the weakest with any kind of game announcements generally, unless it's Breath of the Wild, every fucking year. And we keep giving them, as a whole gaming community, we keep giving them passes until we all decide to say, all right, we're holding you all accountable. It's not going to stop. So it's just it's really annoying that it comes to that. But people got to really stop giving these dudes, like, I don't want to say I'm boycotting them, even I kind of am, I guess, but that's kind of what it takes. I think you kind of have to stop giving them your money and put it somewhere else, because this shit is, it's just not it. It's not it.
I agree.
You got kids, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, if if there was a game that you guys were excited about, you know, from that whole presentation, you know, is there anything you guys could really, like, you know, throw out there?
Well, I know when I go like over, you know, Isaiah's house, I'll be playing Smash, the new character. But other than that,
Yo, but really, why does Smash feel like really that Smash feels like peak Nintendo Switch for me, right? Like, I remember when Smash was announced and like I was at that E3, I played it like at that E3, and like the excitement around it was just like palpable, and it was it was good. I mean, it is a good game. It's a great game, but like that feels like that's the peak Switch. Like that I get everybody loved Animal Crossing and whatever. I mean, it really wasn't my cup of tea, and you know, we all we've exhausted that topic, you know, probably to its wit, but I just man, everybody, it always comes back to Smash recently. It's just like, bro, how y'all really dragging this on this long? I don't get it.
because they know people will buy the new fighters that they come out with. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
So that's your pick, though, Manny? New Smash character. That's the thing you're most excited about.
Yes. With a straight face.
Damn. Chris, what about you, man?
Man, damn. We didn't get no Pokemon Gen 4 remakes. We didn't get Breath of the Wild 2. And we didn't get any new IPs that looked good. I don't know if y'all want me to lie and say I'm really happy about painting in Splatoon. I don't give a shit about that.
So there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
No, absolutely nothing. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny.
No,
there was not one thing in that thing that made me go, oh boy. Nah.
I feel you. I'm pretty down on Nintendo for this, but I guess I'm a little less down than you guys. Like, there are two things in particular that I'm actually pretty excited about for different reasons. Hades, I'm actually kind of excited to see is getting a release on the Switch, and I kind of feel like I might pick that up. Let's see. And then the other one was the Fall Guys. I'm excited to see Fall Guys on the Switch. But that's more aspirational because I'm hoping that it has crossplay, because the idea of me playing like Fall Guys with my wife actually sounds like a lot of fun. Like, if I'm playing it, you know, it's also, just throwing this out there, it also got announced to be coming out for Xbox as well. So if they decide to go the route of actually getting crossplay in there, where you can play between PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, like, I think that would be really, really cool, and that would be a big announcement. But again, that has nothing to do with Nintendo, right? So like, I'm excited for the announcement itself, but like, really, it's not like anything that Nintendo's doing. So it's kind of like a curve in a sense, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like we always end up in this place where we're just like really wanting more from Nintendo. Just keep us wanting more. It's like such a bad relationship. We're just such a bad relationship with Nintendo.
So much potential. So much potential just wasted on nostalgia.
Yeah. Yo, you know, it's so true though, right? Like, I remember, and by no means do I think this is a good game, but I remember when the Switch first came out and what I was playing 1-2 Switch, and like some of the technology built into the Joy-Cons, and like I was like, damn, this is really cool. Like how, like one of the games I remember distinctly, like you shake the Joy-Con and you're supposed to be able to determine how many dice or something like that is in a can that you're shaking, and like I remember like, oh wow, this like feels really good. Like this feels very interactive. And like I feel like they've done nothing to really expand on that technology. Like they're not really making games to do any of that stuff. It's just
Yeah. It is what it is at the end of the day, because we're gonna play some golf, Mario Golf.
yeah. As always, we're left wanting more from Nintendo, but we're gonna leave it there for today. Viewers, listeners, definitely let us know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, because it helps us out a great deal to get some engagement here. Comment as always. But yeah, before we head out, guys, you know the drill. Where can the people find
Of course.
you, Manny?
You already know. Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Goopmaster Flex. Only thing different is on Twitter and Instagram is GoopmasterFlex_TTV. That's where you can find me pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, my guy didn't talk about OnlyFans.
Yeah.
I got banned from that, so.
Damn, all content.
Oh man. All right, Chris. What about you, bro?
Y'all already know I am on everything at MAY25THXX. And again, that is on everything, including Gmail, in case you be trying to pen pal. All right now. All
right. And for me, as always, you can find me at Black Ice 8 pretty much everywhere. Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Twitter, The only difference would be for my Instagram, it would be Black Ice 8_gaming. So make sure to check us out. Also make sure to check out the Instagram at XPackPod. Manny's doing a great job throwing up some content on there. Might get a couple behind the scenes things as well. So make sure to check us out. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys as always for watching. We'll check you guys out next week. Peace.